legs. My name is Michael Miller. This is a Michael Miller trademark training video out to you because you're watching. Thank you and welcome. It's meant for Michael Miller Pilates licensed affiliates, the Core New Core, my patrons, Clayton, Ruby, Stephanie, and Jonathan, and anyone interested in surviving and thriving as a Pilates instructor or student. I have more emphasis on the student now that I'm aware of at least one viewer who isn't a Pilates instructor but enjoys they enjoy their exploration of Pilates as students. If English is not your language, I'm sorry that I can't speak in your native language. And I appreciate and your consideration in reaching from your language to mine to hopefully take what comes as understanding beyond language and then own it for yourself in your language. So, in a past broadcast recently, I talked about common knowledge versus private knowledge. And common knowledge seems to be what everybody assumes is so. And within our context of discussion, that was recognizing that this book is the structural basis for much of what is considered to be Pilates around the world. "35 years. from 1945. So here's Joe's book. That's a wraparound by Judd and Lynn, meaning they added a lot of stuff before Joe's book and a lot of stuff after Joe's book to make this edition. But because someone bought that green-faced book with the chin upturned that has no text and just the exercises, I ordered another book. Look at that. Look at that. It's by Judd and Lynn as well. They just really represented Joe's original work. Might have picked a better font and add some in the exercises. The rollover, I think, is in the original book. And with legs spread in parens both ways, that's like added for clarity. And then one leg circle in parens both ways. That's added for clarity that isn't necessarily in Joe's book. But on page 9 in this book that has the text, I'm reluctant to call it a preamble, but the text that comes before the exercises, on this copy, they're on page 9, right after the title, Contrology Restores Physical Fitness. Contrology is complete coordination of body, mind, and spirit. That's important to me because from MMP's point of view, that's the name of Joe's method defined as such. In the very next paragraph comes contrology develops the body uniformly, comma, and goes on to say corrects wrong postures, restores physical vitality, invigorates the mind, and elevates the spirit. But all of just the first part of that sentence, contrology develops the body uniformly, is what MMP takes Joe at his word for the basis of Pilates is a whole body effort. Okay. I'm not saying that this edition that they put out doesn't say the same thing. Doesn't say the same thing. Well, I'm sure it is. The thrill of getting what is the kernel of the Pilates method, what Joe wrote, and just what Joe wrote, in a book all its own. I used to have a copy of this that came after a copy of just the text that was copied out of Romana's book. There's an artifact for you in the attic. And so I had the text before I ever had the pictures. And then when this became available, I got this. This was published in 1980. "35 years before that, Joe published this. 145 years before that, Schiller, Joe posted this on his wall, which is from the 1800 play, The Death of Wallenstein. Know your time frames. 18 years, 18 years, so 13 years after Joe died, the best Ramana could come up with the writers was an effort to attribute principles to what they openly acknowledged they couldn't explain. "20 years after that, I got to have a say, as we all do, but my point of view comes from Joe's book, and only that." Right there in this book on page 9, Contrology is complete coordination of body, mind, and spirit. The beginning of the very next paragraph, Contrology develops the body uniformly. Now, for like less than $12, that might be a lot of money, but able to get this, and it has the text that gives you legitimacy in print of what you claim are Joe's words in the first and second paragraph. Okay. As far as I can tell, on a quick review, the sequence is the same, the table of contents. And the pictures are of Joe, not the pictures of the mat that appear in this book. So it's Joe at 60, I think they say. What am I talking about here? Oh, okay, so. Okay. Pilates is seen through a point of view of principles with an unknown, undefined, unexplained mystery behind that. Is how I grew up and grew through. This point of view, Michael Miller-Pilates, says if you look at what's in Joe's book, you can get to a point of view all by itself. And so MMP is merely one point of view on how it interprets what's in Joe's book. To the extent that you're aware of that point of view and what it's based on within the book, it empowers you to have a real sense of who you are as a Pilates instructor from a point of view that is grounded on what's in Joe's book. So I'm always talking about discerning a difference in being aware of this particular point of view and it being not common knowledge, I don't think, because everyone doesn't assume this is the way it is, that everyone else assumes is the same, right? What is common knowledge and what isn't? And to what extent is that knowledge connected to or resonant to. All of this MMP point of view assumes that Pilates has an essence of its own. And that's just one end of the spectrum where Pilates has no essence of its own. And that's just acknowledging the extremes between those 2 points of view. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to have taken the what's inside of this and gotten it out in just itself. Why? I guess as a presenter, if I wanted to pursue this economically, it's there that to buy multiple copies as part of the walkaway that someone might want from the presentation that I encourage you to become proficient in, where you explain what CT and MMP is. And better to start with that, to use the abbreviations, and then make the explanation expand from there. CT is a point of view of biomechanics, and MMP is a point of view of Pilates. That's all. I'm professing that I'm identifying the biodynamics of core new tension. So CT stands for core new tension, which is about biomechanics and how the body engages itself to move through space. And it moves through space because if you don't move, you might not survive. And the whole thing about being alive is surviving. Oh, wasn't I needed the right order. Number 3. Okay, there's only 4 today, and number 3, maybe that's too many already, but these are 3 and 4 are both observational about what I see on social media in the way of movement associated to Pilates. Supine on the Cadillac, arms out. If Pilates is eccentric, if it's out away from center, then having a right angle at the shoulder when you're supine on the Cadillac is all feeding into a pulling in for stability rather than a pressure out for stability. So, supine on the Cadillac, rarely do I see a body in a position where the arms are reaching almost straight out through the bars rather than way bent at the elbow. Which easily leads to the kind of tension you're really not after, because you want eccentric tension. And to treat the shoulders as just a static platform without the arms and reaching out through the arms as being part of that elongation, to say nothing of the rotation around the ears, the core new tension between ears and shoulders. So I'd say, in your own work, be aware of you're after going out long through your arms as much as you're interested in going out long through your legs. even if your shoulders and head and hips are all anchored, the out long through the legs is only half of going out long through your body. It's like saying going this way without having this way. So, eccentric. Include the reach out the arms. And then the last thing, the two-word title, I'm not sure if the two-word title is Demonstrate Vertical. Okay. Again, from movement that I see in social media, and some that's very controlled and very fluid, right? Very much like Pilates effort. Very much is Pilates effort because of its control and its fluidity. Right? Maybe I'm the only one, but for me, from my point of view, I'm aware that alignment is sensational. And I want to see a demonstration of vertical. So please demonstrate an 8-second vertical inversion. So now I'm bringing bronc riding into it, where you're supposed to stay seated for 8 seconds in order for it to count as a demonstration of your ability to stay on for that long. 8 seconds and being vertical, inverted, is a demonstration of being able to be in that place for that long. You know, you see it in gymnastics on the rings in terms of holding your body above yourself, pushing down through the rings. If you get to the place where you can be guided through that, or you're already doing that, but on the Cadillac, never exceed the strength in the grip in your wrists, right? Don't do this alone, do this with insurance, do this with guided instruction, doctor's permission, all of that. But in watching it being done, I would love to see a demonstration of being just vertical. Because if everything else is there, in terms of fluidity, isn't acknowledging a sensational situation, vertical, because it's a situation, because here we are standing on a planet, and this is sensational in your body. How? Okay, how? I'm going to go, but how? If your body's just this water balloon hanging out in gravity, how does it get somewhere, or how does it find a sensation of alignment? That's the question. You know, where is this sensation of alignment? How does it happen? It happens when you can make two grips and make this happen. And in the human body, there's a grip here and there's a grip in the shoulders, and those two grips play off of one another, and when they engage themselves, they push away from the other. Because paradoxically, Pilates, as you go deeper toward the center, what comes out of that is expansion. It's an eccentric effort in and of itself at the hips. In that going deeper into your expression of control, more comes out of it. More of you comes out of it. Now, if you're teaching, I had a student walk in from far away that wanted a private, that had their own studio, and sought me out. So there I am. I put the person on the Cadillac with a roll down bar and say roll down and then roll up, because that's a great place to start without it too much risk being involved, depending on how well they walked over and sat down and so forth. And when they did that, it was so incredibly fluid, so graceful. It was stunning in the captivity of the expression of togetherness in it. Right? And it's like, what am I going to teach this person? So I leapt right to what you might consider, it's a whimsical consideration, but I leapt right to the final exercise because of the nature of its challenge, and said, okay, come off the Cadillac, stand here. I came up and went into inversion on the caddy, hung out there long enough to know, for it to be apparent that I wasn't struggling in the effort. There wasn't a lot of rigidity. The Cadillac and all the chains and the structure itself wasn't vibrating, right? And I came off it and I said, do that. So luckily it worked out, but it was because of my evaluation of the student and the way they performed the movement I asked for that I went somewhere that might be fun for them. And of course, to go from the roll down on the Cadillac to an inversion, meaning you're hanging on and you're upside down in the Cadillac and it's your grip that you're hanging from, totally hooked his attention, with mine. And in so doing that, he was very good. But the issue was obvious that his shoulder, the way he was holding his body, was rolled too far forward for him to get lined up. And then it's like, I have the beginning. I have the beginning of a thread. I know where I can go now in the exploration of my interaction with this student. The question being, is he flexible enough to be able to roll his shoulders over and be in a core tension, or just have good posture in the shoulders? Was it because of lack of knowledge or lack of flexibility? And that's right up a Pilates instructor's alley in terms of exploring and empowering and developing, all at the same time, that capacity. And my point is that I think that's very tough to do unless you can make tension that allows you to hold yourself calm and engaged and in alignment, at ease. At ease. I do that ideally pressing through the heel in dorsiflexion, and I make it about the ankle, from the ankle to the ears. So way before you think you get fancy and just do a pointed foot, flexed toe, front snap kick, demi point. Before you get to that, hold yourself calm in space. Why? Why with dorsiflexion? Well, there's the first big reason I'm thinking of is because it's so much easier and so much stronger, and you're so much more benefited by the feedback of developing and strengthening the core new tension throughout your structure. By articulating at the metatarsals, I'm saying it's very tough in my imagination, my experience maybe, to find as serious and as solid a connection between ears and metatarsals than it is between ears and ankles. And so one of my questions was, why is that? That's partially so. And the other reason is, as human beings, what's our natural orientation? Standing, right? Standing. We can all assume a softer posture that reflects our personality or our strictness of expression of what we know how to do. I slump all the time. Why? Because gravity never surrenders. Life can't live forever. And for all practical purposes, life can't last forever. Read between the lines, see behind the curtain, evaluate points of view. KWYK. Direct your thinking. Geist.